So we haven't had a lot of information on Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker since the trailer dropped at Star Wars Celebration this year in Chicago. But thankfully earlier today, thanks to the Star Wars show, we got some mentions of some cool stuff coming in Star Wars Episode 9. Hello everybody and welcome back to another Star Wars video. My name is Joker and today we're discussing the new Stormtrooper that was unveiled today via the Star Wars show. So as I just mentioned earlier today on YouTube, the Star Wars show announced that there is going to be a new Stormtrooper unveiled this year at San Diego Comic-Con to promote Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. And this majestic looking Stormtrooper was given the name Sith Trooper. So after the official images came out, I realized that this is something that we've kind of seen before. However, this design was already originally leaked back in March when Jason Ward of Making Star Wars showed a picture of a set or film crew hat for Episode 9, showing what looked like a Stormtrooper face on the front of the hat, but of course it kind of had a little bit of a different look to it. We had that slit down the middle of the face, giving it the look of a clone trooper or Jango Fett from the Clone Wars era, so it made us wonder, is this a new kind of Stormtrooper or is this just something to throw us off? Because it was of course a leak and it turned into a rumor, and we all know to take that stuff with a grain of salt because it's never known to be true or not. However, shortly after that, we got confirmation sort of from a poster that was also supposedly teased and supposedly leaked. This poster was supposedly a design for Episode 9, and if you look at the very bottom, we see a line of red Stormtroopers with that same design that we saw on the hat, making us wonder, is this actually supposed to be real, or is this just a really great fan-made poster that has what could be red clone troopers at the bottom of the page? At the time, we didn't know. Again, we just had to take it with a grain of salt because we did not know. This was a leak, it was not official, it didn't even have a title, it just said Star Wars at the bottom of the poster. But it could have easily been seen as this is possibly going to be a real thing, as it's so mentioned in Episode 7 when Kylo Ren is talking to General Hux and he actually mentions that perhaps Leader Snoke should consider using a clone army. So originally after seeing it, I didn't believe it. I just took it with a grain of salt and moved on. I was like, if they're going to announce a new trooper, I don't think they're going to do it in the very end of the movie. But I mean, you know, it's up in the air. It could possibly happen. We have no idea how everything is going to be going now that supposedly Palpatine's coming back, so I left an open mind about it and just to see what would happen. And lo and behold, it turns out to be true, and the Sith Trooper is a real thing. But the more interesting thing about it is that this is not the first time we've heard Sith Trooper used in Star Wars, as this is a title that has been thrown around several times throughout games and books alike, especially in the well-known Knights of the Old Republic series, where the original Sith Troopers were actually seen already in silver and in red armor. So there might be a little bit of a connection there when you look at it, and as you keep going down the line, there's just been a spew of red armored troopers, including Royal Imperial Guards and the Praetorian Guards that we recently saw in The Last Jedi. Also, interestingly enough, if you're a fan of the Star Wars Expanded Universe and you're actually into reading the canon novels, you would know that this is not the first time that we've actually seen a red Stormtrooper. That's right, because in the canon novel Phasma, written by Delia S. Dawson, we are introduced to a trooper known as Cardinal, who is a First Order captain who donned all red armor and was the rival of Captain Phasma. And even more recently than that, we were also introduced to Elric Von Rig, who was a TIE fighter pilot in the First Order, seen in the new animated series Star Wars Resistance, who also donned red piloting armor. So we've seen red Stormtroopers before, but what makes these ones so different from these new supposed Sith Troopers? So ultimately, seeing these troopers come in as what's called Sith Troopers, I think it's really interesting because now that we have this supposed confirmation that Palpatine is coming back in Episode 9. Yeah, he laughed in the trailer, but that doesn't always guarantee anything. We don't know what kind of form he's going to be coming back in or what all is going to be happening in this movie. So let's just assume that Palpatine is truly coming back in the flesh. What does this mean? So Palpatine coming back could actually reintroduce the idea of clone troopers to the series, which I think would be a smart way to go. We've already seen it in the prequels, and even as far as Episode 7 when Kylo Ren mentioned, like I already said earlier, that maybe Snoke should have considered using a clone army when looking for BB-8 to get the map to Skywalker. So these ideas were already up in the air, it just needed to come to fruition, and it looks like that's actually happening now. Now these aren't confirmed to be clones at all. There's nothing about this saying that these are clone troopers. It's just assumed based on that slit down the middle of the face being a more representation of the old clone trooper armor. But there is a lot tying into the fact that these could actually be clone troopers. If you go back again into the expanded universe and look at the Star Wars Aftermath series, in the end of Empire's End, it is noted that the Emperor himself is waiting with his own personal army on the outsides of the outer reaches of space and in the unknown regions. So, what could he have been doing all this time? That atop of the secret base he had hidden on Jakku for a lot of reasons that we don't know exactly everything that was going on down there, it is very possible that he could have had his own cloning facility there just waiting in the time, along with the fact that he could have also been cloning himself, as we already saw in some of the Legend novels Dark Empire, where we had clones of Palpatine coming back on top of clones of Luke. So there's a lot of cloning going on in Legends and in canon, so it's not that far-fetched for these to actually be clone troopers. And what about the fact that they're red? What does that exactly have to do with the rest of this? Well, the before mentioned troopers, Cardinal and Elric, they really don't have much to do with this. Their armor might just be red to be red. I don't really know. But going back to this, if this is the personal guard for Palpatine, as it's supposedly rumored that these are going to be the ones that stand in front of them, that the Resistance have to get through these Sith troopers before they get to Palpatine or Kylo Ren, maybe it's like his new personal guard. As we already saw in the original trilogy, that he had the Imperial Royal Guards, which donned all red, and the Vibro Pikes, which then translated over to the Praetorian Guards that Kylo Ren had that we saw in Episode 8. So maybe these Sith troopers are actually clone troopers, or maybe they're just being trained just like the Imperial Guards to be the best of the best, donning the red armor just to replace the fact that he no longer has Imperial Guards as he lost them with the rest of the Empire in the end of Return of the Jedi. So it's all up in the air, and it's a possibility, but I think it would make the most sense to go this route. They are Palpatine's personal guard, therefore they're going to don red armor and be known as Sith troopers because he is a true Sith, against Kylo Ren, who is not. He's just the leader of the Knights of Ren, which have no Sith affiliation whatsoever. But there's just so much more to go about this, and I don't even know if any of the stuff I'm saying is correct. It's very possible that these could be clones and they are a part of Palpatine's personal guard, or maybe he's going to have Royal Guards or Praetorian Guards back for all we know, and that these just happen to be elite troopers, much like the Death Troopers that we saw in Rogue One. They might just be, in a reign of their own, and they're just their own thing. Or maybe they're just really good stormtroopers and they just got an updated look to them. That could very well be the case too. But one thing is certain is that Palpatine is coming back, and whether or not he's at full power, he may actually need these guards to be in place. Therefore, he's got these new Sith troopers to replace the Imperial Guards he had before. Who really knows, but there's only going to be one way to find that, and that's going to be to see the movie in December. But until we get more news on what these Sith troopers are doing, and if they have any role to play with Palpatine at all, or in the First Order in general, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Remember, if you like what you saw, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more Star Wars videos and some more theories alongside that, or if you'd like to see anything else. But until then, and as always, I will see you guys next time.